And we're talking about the advice they would give to students if they are investigating the historical Jesus and wanted to come to grips with some of the things he said about himself, namely his claims. Where would they turn? And one of the things I think that everybody in our society is familiar with is the Passion of the Christ and some of the content that went on. There was the Jewish leaders met and they had a trial on Jesus. And at that time, they asked him certain questions that are repeated in Matthew, Mark, Luke. And the fact is, let's go to that passage because you've written a whole lot about that. You were one of the key witnesses, historical witnesses on the Diane Sawyer special on ABC. Take us through that.
Well, I'm going to set a context for it by basically asking this question. Who did Jesus say that he is? And there are really three passages that get us there. The last one shows up in the last week. The first is Jesus walks into a synagogue, opens up the text to Isaiah 61, reads it, talks about the Spirit having anointed the figure in question, and that the year of Jubilee is being declared, the year of release is being declared. And Jesus sits down and says, today this has been fulfilled in your hearing. So that tells you that Jesus is the promised figure of deliverance, and he belongs to the time of what theologians call the eschaton. But just think of it as the time of salvation, the time of God's promised salvation. That's the first passage. Second passage is a passage where John the Baptist is sitting in jail and asking himself, what am I doing in jail? If I am the one who's the forerunner of the era to come, if I'm announcing that God's salvation and deliverance and rescue is coming, then how is it that I've ended up here? So he sends messengers to Jesus and he says, are you the one to come or should we expect another? Now, looking at Jesus' answer, I say, he didn't ask that the right way. He should have asked it like you see in the movies, you know. Are you the one to come or should we expect another? Yes or no? Because the answer that he gets is actually an answer that's echoed somewhere else in Judaism. If you read 4Q 521, which is one of the texts of the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah, fourth cave.
Fourth cave at Qumran 521, it says this, it says, for the heavens and the earth shall listen to his Messiah and shall not turn away from his commandments. And he will have an eternal kingdom. He will set prisoners free, open the eyes of the blind, raise up those who are bowed down. And it goes on, he shall make alive the dead. He shall send good news to the afflicted. Now, if you read Jesus' answer in Luke 7 and in the parallel in Matthew, you get basically many of those same phrases. It is, go tell John what you see and hear. And he talks about the deaf hearing and the lame walking and the blind seeing and the poor having the gospel preached to them. Very much along the lines of what we see in
It's almost exact. It's like a quote right out of there.